Yeah, record on this computer.
There you go.
All right. All right. I'm getting real whippy here. Brand new computer, kind of the same as my old one, but still I had Debbie and them tried to help me share screen the other day to teach me, and we were looking at different things, and Debbie kept saying, "You need that
It's
white box.
there.
You need
It's
that white box,"
there.
and it's like it is not there. So I had to
It's
buy a new
there.
computer. No, had to buy a new computer to get the white box. So with the green around it. So now we are. Oh, you know what? I
What?
did not do it right. I didn't. Bear with me, ladies. I did not push these little because I have two little videos,
Two little
and
boxes to
without
push.
yeah, and if I didn't do that, then it would not work. So severe weather at
Where
home
at home?
drops work. Yeah,
Which is Dolly Sods to her, some you new people.
yeah. I'm gonna introduce myself here. Just
Probably
a second.
wind. The wind's supposed to really pick up.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that Gump behind you, Kathy?
Yep. Follows me everywhere.
Oh, don't.
So I got stung in the
So-
neck. I got stung in the neck yesterday.
Did you?
Oh no.
Yeah, I had an Adam's apple. Well, you know, on
Huh.
the silent auction, I bid on a couple of things. I won a robbing screen.
Yeah.
And my one hive's still suffering. So I got the screw gun. I had a hoodie on. I went out to screw it up, and one of the robbers didn't like me doing that, and she got me in the neck.
Oh.
Oh, well, just keep you on your toes. All right.
Well, you know
so
she's no more. So
that's right. Way to go, Kathy. You just killed a winner bee. Good job. So anyway, um, this is my presentation for today and for this week, and then I don't have to do anymore because we had so many people step up to do each class that now we only had to do one. I think I had to do 3 last year. So yay me. But I am Phyllis Gaynor Varian, and I'm one of the ones that started the women's group. And then oh, Debbie can tell you that when it's her turn. But I do live in Dry Fork at the foot of Dully Sods. And this is my phone number if you guys ever have a bee question or whatever. And my business is West Virginia Wilderness Apiaries. And my products that I sell are 5-frame nukes and raw unfiltered honey and queens. And then I have wax and, everything that comes with a bee. I started selling propolis and last year. And so that might be a go because I get some good money out of that. But, and this is what we're here for today. And then this is all the information, basically everything that I have on our webpage. And this is our women's mission. It's like Women Beekeepers of West Virginia is a group for lady beekeepers within our state and surrounding borders. Our goals include the sharing of knowledge, giving helpful information, sharing stories, giving advice, and words of encouragement in a welcoming environment. We encourage all levels of experience for newbies and professionals to join us. So that's what we aim for. And this is our retreat. Um, I'm just throwing everything out at you guys so you can see, kind of what we women, do, our club. We did become a club last year, 2022. We are the only women's beekeeping club in West Virginia. And the last I heard, we had like 63 paying members, and I think we got another one the other day. So we're moving up. Not everybody participates, but numbers look good. But I would really like to have the human bodies to come to our meetings and participate. But I know Zoom is hard sometimes. But we have a retreat, and this is my house. And no, it's not done, but I love it. But this is my living room, and somebody is teaching at that time. It's hard to tell who that was, but when we come in for classes and then we go out to do bees, and this is everybody getting suited up, and then we walk. I have bees from out there and on over. But our retreat this year is July 28th through the 30th. And you can stay in my house on floor space, bring a blow up mattress. We have tents. You can bring a camper. Um, you can stay out in Canaan Valley, but you miss a lot, I think, if you can stay here I started saying on campus, if you can stay in on our farm. And Kathy brings a tent and Debbie brings a tent, and Tiffany, what did you do? I can't remember.
I do a tent too. I have a
Yes.
tent that converts the back of my car.
That's
Right.
it.
You're my
Yeah.
sleeper. Yeah.
Yeah. And then some ladies just have a bigger vehicle and they sleep, put the seats down and they have a mattress back there. So, but you are welcome. And we only do about 35 people. So first come, first serve. And we had two people that wanted to pay during our meeting the other night, and we was like, no, just let's do this, get the classes pretty much over with, and no, that was for no, it was for the retreat. So that was Michelle. But so if you have any questions, we'll do questions later. Just write them down as I go, and or you can do them now. So does anybody have any questions? Okay, forever hold your peace. All right, let's get started. So this is my first slide. So you want to be a beekeeper, and this is part of our retreat. Once again, this is probably this second year, first year at my house, second year doing this. And this is my presentation, Colony and its Organization. And it's just about the bees that are in the hive. And the Western honeybee or European honeybee is the most common of the 7 to 12 species of honeybees worldwide. The genus name Apis is Latin for bee, and mellifera is Latin for honey bearing or honey carrying, referring to the species product of honey. So let me see. Tell me if you can hear this.
Cross our fingers.
Apis or Apis mellifera.
No?
Apis or
Yes.
Apis
Yeah.
mellifera.
Awesome. It worked. Nice computer. Thank you.
Apis or Apis mellifera.
I thought I stopped you. So worth the money. All right. So here's some of the Apis mellifera honeybees. And along the side kind of tells you what they're good for. And you can take a picture of this if you can do it on your computer, or I can always post it if you want it. I mean, it's all over the web. But you have your Africanized bees, which that's what's down here a lot of in Florida, and your buckfast, and they people have raised those like in Doddridge, and they seem to really like them. And Carnioleans, that's what I raise, and Caucasians, and Cordovian, and Italians, and Russians. And Russians are great if you get a nice strain, but they can turn mean really, and so can Italian. And everybody will try to sell you Italians if you're newbies, and because they build up fast, but they eat and they eat and they eat and they swarm. So just try not to get Africanized bees and Russians for your first time around. And then after you become a beekeeper, then you can get your Russians and tell everybody that yours are nice. So, all right. So this is mine, the 3 types of bees in a hive. You have your queen, which you can see her butt is longer. And I didn't get I guess you guys can see my thing. I
Mhm.
lost my red laser. And then this is a drone, which is the male. And this is not correct. This picture should be much rounder. And I'll show you that in another picture that I have. And then this is the worker. She's the tiniest one of them all, and she does almost all the work. All right. You guys check your mics and see if you can mute them, because I get a lot of back feed from it. And first one we're going to talk about is the queen. And this is one of my beauties. And she's a carniolean, dark like that. But you can see her little head right here. And this is one of the workers, and her head is different. So this is just like, like when you get into your hive and you think, okay, the characteristics of a queen, and that will help you find that queen. So her thorax right here is hardly any hair. See, this one's covered with hair. And then her wings don't go all the way to her body. Well, these aren't good pictures. There you go. See, they cover almost the same length of her body. So that's just something to look at. And you can always, see that little pointy thing, and she will sting you. But I've never been stung, and I've had hundreds of queens in my hands, and so I'll probably get it this year. But this is just a little thing. Can you find the queen? And I'll give you a couple minutes. There's two of them, actually. Tell me if you found her. Turn your mics on. Let me know. I can't see you guys. So I lost that too.
There's one in
Ye-
the center.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good job. Can you find
Found
the other
her.
one?
I think the other
Uh,
one's down on the bottom right.
Right here? The Queen of England?
No, like a little bit further up. Maybe it's just the
Yeah.
bad angle.
No, there's only two. It's the Queen of England and
Oh.
then my bee. Yeah, my queen. So I just put it on there as a joke. I found this on Facebook like 2 years ago, and I've always used it in my presentations. I really, just for fun. So, okay, let's talk about a virgin queen. And this is what she looks like. You can see that she chews just perfect rim around here, and then she comes out. But a virgin queen develops from a fertilized egg or from young worker larvae, not more than 3 days old. And they are fed, Roy, you got that, Debbie? They are fed jelly by the worker bees, takes 16 days. Get very good job. And takes 16 days to hatch and flies distance away to avoid inbreeding, and approximately 13 minutes to breed, and mates in the afternoon and lays her first egg 48 hours after mating. And this statement right here, a healthy queen is a healthy hive, and that is 100% true. So some facts about a queen, and this is another, we do Saskatraz, and you can look them up. They come from Canada, but so we breed our well, we get Saskatraz carnioleans, and then we have New World carnioleans, and we breed those together because the Saskatraz can be a little angry sometimes. So the New World are very docile, and we breed them together, and pretty much have a great um, I don't know, bunch of bees. So, yeah, for lack of better words. But usually there is one queen per hive, and she is the only sexual developed female, and well, bee, period, in the hive. And they will lay fertilized and unfertilized eggs. And she can, if my video works, um, you will see a queen put her head in a cell, and then that's going to tell her mentally what she's going to lay. And if it's a small cell, I don't have anything here, but if it's this size cell, then she's going to lay a fertilized egg. And if it's, well, they put, these are bigger, and they put pollen. That's pollen right there. But that size cell, she would stick her head in, and it's bigger. So that tells her that she needs to lay a drone, and a drone is laid from unfertilized eggs. I know, very weird, but that's the way it is. So that tells her what she's going to deposit in the bottom of that cell. So they lay the greatest number of eggs in the spring and early summer. Queens may lay up to 1,500 eggs per day, and they cease or slow down laying eggs in early October. And a single queen can produce up to 250,000 eggs per year. And her wings, like I was saying before, cover only about 2/3 of her abdomen. Queen's thorax is slightly larger, like I said before, than the worker. And her stinger is curved and longer than that of a worker, and she can sting multiple times. Where a worker, if she stings one time, especially on a human, then that burr, it's got burrs on it, and it stays in there, and it rips her bottom out, and she dies. So, but a queen can hurt you more than one time. And let's see, the queen can live for several years. A lot of beekeepers only give them 1 year to 2 years, and then they put her out. I have, if she lives this year, I have a 3-year-old queen, and if she makes it through, they make it through, then that will be my breeder queen because she comes from great healthy stock, and she is blacker than black, beautiful queen. And they produce a pheromone, and what that does, they go into the the hive, and the queen has a pheromone, and then all the bees smell, they rub up against her, and they have that pheromone and they know that she is their queen. So if another queen comes in and she has a different pheromone, then they kill that queen. So it's pretty cool. And oh no. Oh, I'll let somebody in. So I got to get back on track. Okay. New queens are raised under 3 different circumstances. You have your cell, your supersedure cell, and a swarming cell. And we're going to learn about that. But on this frame right here, I wanted to show you this little bee right here. See how kind of light color she is and she's fuzzy. She just hatched. So yeah, they look lighter, and they have about 30 million hairs on their bodies, because they have hair on their eyes too. But that's not my topic, so I'll get back to this. All right, emergency queens. Emergency queen cells mean the hive was not planning on losing or replacing the queen. Something happened, such as you squashed the queen when you were in the hive, and now the bees are trying to make a new one. Okay, queens are raised in worker cells modified to hang vertically on the comb surface. All right, so here, and remember when I said that the queen that was laying there on the table and how they chewed out, but I can't find there, right here, this perfectly bottom. 2 queens have hatched here, and they're probably running around that hive somewhere. So, and this is what emergency cells, they panic and they start making a bunch of them. And those are all, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 virgin queens are running around in the hive somewhere or dead. Oh, there's another one maybe. So, yep. So anyway. All right. So what is a supersedure cell? Now this one is a little bit different than what I have seen in my hives, and I'll tell you why I say that after I read this. But when a colony is raising a new queen to replace the aging, ill, or missing queen, they produce supersedure cells. The new queen that emerges from the cell will take over or supersede the old queen. To boost the odds of producing a healthy new queen, the colony creates several supersedure cells at the same time. In most cases, the first one to emerge will become the new queen. And this is where I differ. When I see all through my hives, when I have seen a supersedure cell, I have only seen one. I don't know if mine are conservative with their eggs or what, but now the emergency cells, yes, I've seen that, and it's like they're swarming. They're everywhere. But the supersedure, I have only seen one, and then when we're done, we will ask the beekeepers that are on here what they have seen in their hives. All right, beekeepers usually find supersedure cells on the comb face. So you have your, I don't know if you can see me, but you have your frame here, and it's usually right up in here, not down here where the swarm cells are, which that's next, and hanging downward. So there's your swarm cells right here, totally different. And your supersedure cell would be up here. And there's those big drone cells that I was saying, that if she stuck her head and there's a drone, drone. They're like little peanuts. And a lot of people think those are queen cells until you start seeing more of them. All right, what is a swarm cell? Swarm cells produce a new queen to take the place of the old or of the one preparing to leave the hive. And that's exactly what swarm means. They just take a bunch of bees, usually, a lot of the bees, like 3/4 of the hive, and they fly and find a new home. Typically, the bees produce many swarm cells, and the strongest of these new queens take over over the production of new brood, which that means babies. That's right here for the colony. You may see 3 or more swarm cells or variable age in the hive. Unlike supersedure cells, bees typically create swarm cells along the margins of the comb when the colony is preparing to swarm. All right, so that's a swarm. And I put this little devil here because you don't want a swarm. And, if it swarms, then, and the devil is saying, I want your bees, and he's taking your money. the devil be. And because I look at it as losing $300 every time I lose a swarm. Now, if I catch it, then that's another matter. But if I lose it, then it's just like throwing $300 or 400 now out the door. But let's recap. A swarm cell is when there is an abundance of bees in the hive and they need to swarm to create more room, or they are polluted with mites. And you'll learn about mites. And I have one mite that I can, no, I have a few mites that I can show you on this presentation. The old queen leaves with part of the hive to find a new home, and the new queen from the swarm cell hatches and earns her throne in the hive. And then a supersedure cell is when the current queen is not doing her part and the hive or in the hive, and therefore the hive creates a new queen to take her place. An emergency cell is exactly what it is. It's made in an emergency. And they said the other day I was listening and they said that a lot of beekeepers don't like those, but they can only make queen. It all depends how late it is before they decide they need a queen. So but after 3 days, then that's the time that they want to make the queen. So the egg is 3 days old, and then on the 4th day, then that's the age that they will make a queen. So that gives them plenty of time, and they know when they're queenless, like like in 15 minutes, they know that their pheromone is out of the hive and they're queenless. So here's some swarm cells. These are capped, and this one's not. And this one, I'm going to tell you, it's a queen cup. And these started out like this. They're all that little. And then when you do your inspection, then you look at these and you want to see if there's an egg laid in there. And I have one, I think I put it on here that I'll show you what I mean. But if there's no cell or if there's no egg in this one, then it is a queen cup. But when they put an egg in there, then it becomes a queen cell. And then they pull it out like this one's not covered. So, and then they'll do that. But that's what it was saying about the different ages. So this one might be the oldest one. So she'll hatch out and she's supposed to go and kill all these. And so she is the queen of the hive. But sometimes they don't do that and they live together for a little bit until one of them gets bred and then they shove the other one out or they kill. But here's one way. I just put these in. This is when we changed over to Saskatraz. And so we bought these. And so this is how you can change your genetics. And this is the color of the queens. So when you buy your whatever you get this year, it should come in red. Your queen should have a dot on her head and it should be in red because it's 2003. So, and then next year it's green, blue, white, yellow, and then starts all over again. All right. Anybody have any questions about the queen?
I have a question about the last slide. Can we get a copy of that picture? Because I heard about that's how you age your bees, and it'd be nice to
Yes.
have.
Yep, exactly. I can do that.
And
I'll put it on. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, and then my other question. So with the person I'm going through, like I have a mentor locally to me that I'm going to go to for getting my nukes, and I've already got like those on the waiting list. But I have a question. You brought up different types and varieties of bees. I've not thought about asking this. I thought there was honestly just one. I'm new.
Sure. Yeah, good.
Can you actually mix different varieties of bees with different bees? Okay, gotcha. And
yeah,
what has been your outcome with those? I know you talked about a couple different hybrid mixes, but how do you sort of handle that?
Well, you just know what you want. Like I'm a queen breeder, so I know what I want out of my queens, and that's what I breed. So I'm a honey producer. So when I go to pick my queens, then I make sure that it's a calm hive and they're well maintained and they don't carry a lot of mites, or they respond to my mite treatment, put it that way. And they're pretty self-sufficient. So you need to find out if you guys buy your queens or queens or nukes or packages. And I advise you not to buy packages for a new beekeeper unless you have drawn comb to put them on. And the only way you would have that is if someone gave them to you, and you really shouldn't use somebody else's drawn comb because it could be filled with all kinds of disease or pesticides. So we'll talk about that later. But so you want to know where their queens come from. Like, are they bought and put on made into a nuke, or were they over winter? And she's went through winter with what you're going to buy in a nuke, like that's her bees, that's her brood. Now, and a bot queen can also, they can tell you that that is her brood because they buy a queen, put it with those little cages like that, and they put it in um a nuke. They make a nuke and they put the queen in there, and they take her out, they chew the candy and she comes out, and then they keep her for 2 weeks because then they can say that that is her brood, and they can show you the queen pattern and everything. So, and not all queens, I mean, I can have an absolutely beautiful queen coming into spring, and then she doesn't do well in the fall. So, it depends on when she was or how she was bred. And, just because it's a bot queen doesn't mean it's a bad queen. So, because, I have queens, and like 2 years ago, we had three that came through all through winter. And then in the spring, they started laying drones, and she was a drone layer. She wasn't a laying worker. She was a drone layer because she didn't get bred good enough. So it wasn't her fault. It's just, it is what it is. So, yeah, that's just a little bit about queens. So did that answer any of your questions? Yes. Good. Yep.
She was shaking her head, yes.
Well, I can't see anything
Yeah,
but
I
my
know.
presentation. I had you guys on one side, and then I went out, came back in, and Jennifer raised her hand. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Excellent. So when you have a supersedure cell, I think I said that right.
Mhm.
Should we let them, if they've decided that our queens sucks, should we let them complete that process?
Good question. If your queen, when you go in there and you see the supersedure cell and your queen is still in there and she's doing a bang up job, then I would split that hive if it's big enough.
Okay,
So, and if it's not big enough, then if it's whatever you want to do. But if you think that they kind of just did it to, make one, then yes, I would kill that. And then because they'll make another one, and come back in 7 days and see if there's another one or two or three more in there. And then if so, then split that queen out with, however you want to do it. If it's not a big hive, then you can get brood or something from another hive, and just so you can keep her. And I have done that before, where they think my queen's bad and I take her out and she's just blowing it up and brood and everything. They just did not want her, period.
okay.
Yep, good question. All right, let's talk about drones. And see the hairy butt on this guy? That's what I was telling you. That picture did not do it justice. These huge eyes. And then he does have hair on here, and his wings. Oh, somebody's got me on. But they will go back, all the way back to his butt. So, oh, all right. And now on this one, this is, there's some drones on here, but this one is an albino. And I had this is my bee, and about 4 years ago, I had two in this hive, and they're blonde, they said. So I went ahead and killed him, both of them, and I took a picture of him first. So, but let's look for the drones. Here's a drone. See the big eyes? Here's a drone. And there's a drone. And there's a drone. And see the butt? I can't see his head, but I can see his hairy butt, which I shouldn't say it that way. I can see his round butt, and that's a drone. So, all right, the largest bee in the colony, and they present only during late spring and summer. And that just means that that's the time that they're in the hive. At winter time, you'll find out they kick them out. But drones have no stinger or pollen baskets or wax glands. So the only thing they do, I'll show you what they do. Drones become sexually mature about a week after emerging and die instantly upon mating. And while drones normally rely on workers for food, they can feed themselves, and I have seen that, within the hive after they are 4 days old. And since drones eat 3 times as much food as workers, an excessive number of drones may place an added stress on the colony's food supply. Drones stay in the hive until they are about 8 days old, after which they begin to take. Oh, I did not do that. I don't know where that red mark came from. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Somebody's marking us. It's not me. What are you doing, Debbie?
I'm not touching nothing.
Somebody. It's okay. Drones stay in the hive until they are about 8 days old, after which they begin to take orientation flights. And that just means they go out and they see where they're at, and then they can come back. So flight from the hive normally occurs between noon and 4 o'clock p.m. Drones have never been observed taking food from flowers. When cold weather begins in the fall and pollen nectar resources become scarce, drones usually are forced out into the cold and left to starve. Queenless colonies, however, allow them to stay in the hive indefinitely. All right. I guess I'm going to have, did I stop sharing and do it all over again? Do you guys see those red lines right there?
I see
Yeah.
them, but they don't hurt anything.
They hurt me.
They aren't a distraction, really.
All right. Sorry. I just can't handle it. Oh, mark, and share. Okay. All right. This is between the hives. And I will get my little red thing that I didn't get last time. So this is in between your hives. Like there's another box on top. And when you take it out, take them apart to do an inspection, this is where they like to build. We all know better, don't we, ladies, that we're not going to do it this year. But for me as a breeder, this is all my drones dead. A lot of my drones dead because there's, I have 40 hives, then they all do this. So I've killed a lot of my breeding stock. And if you look right here, I think that's a mite, and it could be a piece of dirt, but I'm going to say it's a mite just so you guys can look. And I saw another one somewhere, and
I
I
see.
can't remember.
Right here.
Right here, like I can see you, Kathy.
No, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 frames over.
1, 2, 3,
Further
4.
away. I'm sorry. The next frame. Go-
1, 2, 3, 4.
now go-
This one
Yeah, go up a little bit. Don't I see one right in there? Right there?
right there. Yeah, that's the one that I would say I could say. But this is what they look like when you would pull one of those out. Now these are a little bit farther along than these. That's why they look darker. But you would pull that up either with your finger or tweezers or whatever, and then you can see these little mites. Right, there's one, and there. is one. So yeah, that's what you don't want to see. All right, now this is just pictures of, this is normal brood, and this is drone brood in a corner. And then this is normal brood, and normal brood is workers. So these are workers, and these little bullets are drones. And a lot of people, like I said before, would think those were queens, but they're not. Like down here, they're not queens. These are, and this was probably on, like in the second box. That's why they're, or in the bottom box, and that's why they're up here like this. So, but this is what, you can see that they're so much bigger. But that's what you want to look for. Okay. This is the only thing that they are good for. And this is the drone mating the queen. And you have a little heart and you got a little smiley face. I know, I'm sick. So, do you guys have any questions about drones? Pretty cut and dry, actually. All right, this is we're talking about the workers now. And see all the hair on this little lady? It's amazing. If you see a close up on their eyes, they've got hair on their eyes too. So this is one of mine, and this is pollen. All right, get things off of there. So, all right, workers are the smallest bodied adults and constitute the majority of the bees occupying the colony. They are sexually undeveloped females and under normal hive conditions do not lay eggs. So that's a big part to know. Workers have specialized structures such as brood food glands, scent glands, wax glands, and pollen baskets, which allow them to perform all the labors of the hive. And I'll say a couple of these over and over on different slides, so just bear with me, but getting it into your head, think of it that way. Okay, a worker. They clean and polish the cell. As soon as they're born, they turn around and do that, and then they get fed. They feed the brood, care for the queen, remove debris, and that is anything that we put in their hive, they rip up and tear out and take it down out the front door. And or dead bees. They're caretakers. And they build beeswax comb and guard the entrance and air condition and ventilate the hives during their initial few weeks as adults. And later as field bees, which we call foragers, they forage for nectar, pollen, water, and propolis, which is the sap of on a plant. They bring it back, and that is their medication for their hive, their antibiotic. It's called super glue, and they glue everything. And if you have that, count yourself blessed, and you can harvest that, and you can you can do municipal, and that's another story. But come to Tuesdays and we can teach you about it. The lifespan of a worker during summer is about 6 weeks. Workers reared in the fall may live as long as 6 months, and that's what's living right now are our winter bees, allowing the colony to survive the winter and assisting in the rearing of new generations in the spring before they die. And looks like I need to plug in my computer. Always something, right? So, all right, there we go. Now it's bright again. So this is, again, the worker bee. This is what jobs from day 1 to 5. They're cleaning and polishing cells. On day 6 to 12, they're eating pollen and feeding brood, the older brood first, then the younger larva. And that's in the cell. And day 13 to 18, nectar ripening, which nectar is what they turn into honey. So when it's ripened, nectar, when it's ripened, it becomes honey. And comb building, undertaker duty, which that's what I said, cleaning out the dead bees from the hive. And day 19 to 21, they guard the entrance. And orientation flights, and that is they come out and they find out where they're at. So their next duty is to go out on day 22 to the end of life and they forage for the pollen, and then they know how to where their hive is. That's why a lot of us paint and do different things in the front so they can zone in on that and say, oh yeah, that's my hive. All right, questions about the workers? All right. Hope I'm not rushing you. If you have a question, just um, interrupt me, whatever. But okay, this is the dreadful laying worker. This is when your queen's dead and you didn't find her in time. And one of the workers then became, started laying unfertilized eggs. So all these eggs that you see turn into drones right here. And you think, well, that would be good, for a breeder, but these drones usually are worthless. A lot of times they're not fertile and they're small and they die before they're supposed to. When you see this now, this one, this is a new queen, but see, they have couple in there and a couple in there. This is just a brand new queen getting started. So you know that she's in there, so you can just close it up and they'll take care of those. The workers will leave that to take the rest of them out and leave one cell in there and then they'll grow to normal. But this one right here, that is your laying worker. See all these up here? That shows you that you have a laying worker. And then it's a headache. And then you call one of us and we'll help you go through it because that's a whole nother presentation. But when a colony becomes queenless, the ovaries of several workers, not just one, but several workers develop and workers begin to lay unfertilized eggs. Normally, development of the workers' ovaries is inhabited by the presence of brood and the queen with her pheromones. The presence of laying workers in a colony usually means the colony has been queenless for several weeks. That's why it's so important to get into your beehives at least every 10 days. So you can make sure that you have the correct eggs in there and larvae and not a laying worker, that your queen, you don't have to find her all the time, but you need to know that you have fresh eggs. So you know that she's present. All right. So, however, laying workers also may be found in swarming season because that queen did, the new one went out, didn't get bred, or she got bred and she never made it back to the hive. So there the hive is queenless. So colonies with laying workers are recognized easily. There may be anywhere from 5 to 15 eggs per cell, and small body drones are reared in worker cells. And what that means, like I said before, is they lay these eggs in a worker cell, which a worker cell is smaller, remember? And then they don't have any room to grow. So they only can grow in that cell. So they come out tiny. And and it's not because, like when you look on there and you might see a drone, but they come out big most of the time. So, but if you see a small one, don't panic because there's genetic problems too. So that might be all that is. But in addition, laying workers scatter their eggs more randomly over the brood combs, and eggs can be found on the sides of the cell instead of in the center of the base where they are placed by the queen. Some of the eggs do not hatch, and many of the drone larvae that do hatch do not survive, like I said before. All right. Any questions about the drones? Or laying workers, I mean? Sorry. All right. So, life of a honeybee. I'm almost done, guys. Just bear with me. Bear with me. Here we go. We have a queen. She put her head down there and she knew that it was a small cell. So she laid an egg and it's a fertilized egg. And then it hatches and it turns into a larva, which it looks like a grub. And then that hatches and grows into a bigger larva. And then they seal it after 10 days. And then it turns into the pupa stage. And then it compound eyes, which I'll tell you, I'll read it again, but that's the first thing to change color. And then she chews her way out, day 21, and she becomes an adult. So here it is. So we have the eggs. Everybody is 3 days, and then it hatches in larva stage. For the queen, it's 5.5. For a worker, it's 6, and for a drone, it's 6.5. And the pupa stage for a queen is 7.5 because it's 16 days, and 12 days for a worker, and 14.5 for a drone. So there you go. A total development, 16 for a queen, 21 for a worker, and 24 for a drone. And that's why mites, and I'm just touching base, but that's why you will find most of your mites in the cells on your drones. And then once they come out, then they just go anywhere and everywhere on any bee that they want to. So, all right, bee development. All these types of adult honeybees passes through 3 developmental stages before emerging as adults. They go through the egg, the larva, and the pupa. The 3 stages are labeled brood. And I mean, they're all brood. That's what they're labeled. And while the developmental stages are similar, they do differ in duration, which we already went through that. Unfertilized eggs become drones, while fertilized eggs become either workers or queens. And I think on the 3rd day, the workers know if that egg is going to be a queen or or a queen or a worker. And then if it's a queen, then they continue. And I think I'm jumping ahead. Yeah, I am, right, because right there it is. Okay, so nutrition plays an important part in development of a female bee. So larva destined to become workers receives less royal jelly. That's what I was getting ready to tell you, and more a mixture of honey and pollen compared to the copious amounts of royal jelly that a queen larva receives. So, and you'll learn about royal jelly. That's what you see in the queen cell at the top, and that's just their food. That's what they eat on. All right, now if this works, this is where you're going to see the queen put her
So we're
head in.
having a closer look at what worker bees do. Here you can
There's
see the
pollen.
pollen baskets on this worker bee's legs, which is a white colour, and on this one it's orange. Now this was footage shot back in the spring, so the white pollen is potentially hazel tree pollen, while the orange could be from cabbage plant or apple tree blossom. It does vary with the season. And again here on this one at the top, sort of top middle of the screen, there's actually red pollen, which at the time of year we believe this was dandelion. Right, so you can see here, this is a drone bee, which I'm just very, very gently holding in my glove. And as we were saying before, they're the only ones who don't sting. I certainly wouldn't do this to a worker bee because she would sting, she wouldn't like this. But just to show you, so you can see he's got very big eyes. He's quite a big size bee compared to the workers. So I'm going to put him back on the frame. So you can see the worker bees there. You can see the size difference. So just letting him go. There he is, he's scuttled off underneath. So on this footage, just smoking the worker bees away, and we can see we've got some queen cups or queen cells. You can see distinctively on the right hand one has hatched, while the other on the left has not at the moment. And this colony actually swarmed back in the spring. So that's what the queen cells look like. They're sort of a peanut shape cell, usually hanging from the bottom of the frame. And on this bit of footage here on the left of the screen, you can see the very fast moving bee. I believe this is a virgin queen. So this is possibly the one that had hatched from the cell we saw earlier. I'm just repeating this in slower motion, so you can see her on the left there. They move very quickly and she's very restless, which is an indication she's about to do her mating flight. Either that or she's very camera shy. You can see she's just very slightly bigger than the worker bees and not easy to spot. And then we can see this is a queen that's already done her mating flight. You can see how she has a bigger abdomen. I'm just repeating that clip again in slower motion.
Watch
So
her
you can
put her
see how
head
she
in.
has a longer abdomen. So that's how you can tell her apart from the worker bees. I haven't put a dot on this one at the moment. And she's checking for cells that are empty, that she hasn't laid eggs in. And she's just checked that one, and you can see she's just inserted her abdomen, and she will have laid an egg in that cell.
See how they're taking care of her? That's a good video. I'm glad it worked.
So we're having a closer.
All right. So now we're going to talk about eggs. And I want you to look over here and see some of them that are fallen over. And then this is what it looks like in the center of an egg, of the cell, I mean, sorry. So honeybee eggs are normally laid one per cell by the queen. Each egg is attached to the cell bottom and looks like a tiny grain of rice. When first laid, the egg stands straight up on end. However, during day 3 development period, the egg begins to bend over, and then it hatches after that. On the 3rd day, the egg develops into a tiny grub, and the larva stage begins. That you can see, and this is why I use black plastic, because you can see your eggs just perfect. No guessing game. And this is the larva stage, and I want you to see here. This one is a grub, and there's an egg, and this has 2. And there's one there, and I think here's 2 eggs, and now that one might be a light, but there's an egg, and there's a grub. There's 2 there, and then this is pollen that they've brought in on their little legs and put on there, and this is they've popped it already. So, all right. So healthy larvae are pearly white in color with a glistening appearance. So when you get in your hive, you want it to look just like this. And this right here, the shiny stuff, that is the royal jelly that they're feeding them. And you want it to look like this. You don't want it to look tan or darker at all. At, white and shiny. That's what you want. Now this one looks, looks like you would say, well, that one looks like a little tan, but that's okay because it still looks healthy. So they are curled in a C shape at the bottom of the cell. Worker queen and drone cells are capped after larvae are approximately, and you all know all this because I've already told you. All right, during the larva stage, they are fed by adult workers, or nurse bees is what we call them, while still inside their ewax cells. The period just after the cell is capped is called the pre-pupal stage. During this stage, the larva is still grub-like in appearance, stretches itself out lengthwise, and I showed you a picture of that in the cell, and spins a thin silken cocoon. Larvae remain pearly white, plump, and glistening during the pre-pupa stage, and then they turn like this. Within an individual cell, within the individual cells capped with the beeswax cover constructed by adult worker bees, the pre-pupa begin to change from their larval form to adult bees. Healthy pupa remain white and glistening during the initial stages of development, even though their bodies begin to take on adult forms. And compound eyes are the first feature that begin to take on the color, changing from white to brownish purple. Soon after this, the rest of the body begins to take on the color of an adult bee. Bees have 5 eyes, 2 large compound eyes and 3 ocilla. The compound eyes are situated on either side of the bee's head. The compound eyes are composed of thousands of little lenses or facets, and together the facets, which are lenses, help bees see color, movement, and patterns. Now, this is what I was going to show you. This is a mite, and they're called Varroa destructor, but this is a deer tick that I pulled off my neck. a couple years ago. But I saw those today when I was looking for a tile job that my husband did, and I was like, oh, that's a great comparison. So it looks like this is just a little bit bigger than the deer tick. So think of that when you're looking at your bees. Look for deer ticks. No, look for mites. So, and this is a really good, you can take a picture of this. I have posted him many, he's coming to the conference, Paul, can't think of his last name, but I've posted him many
Kelly.
times. Kelly, thank you. And on our women's page, and he is where you should go to and learn from, because he's a great for beginners, and he'll take you clear up to professional. He teaches this bee class up at the University of Gulf in Canada. So, and I threw this one in because if anybody wants to get you a gift as a beekeeper, tell them to get you a hive tool. This one is my favorite. It's like 5-way, one tool. This one I usually use. This one my husband uses, and it's just a hook on there. But but this one has it all. And you can buy them at Amazon. I think they're like $7. And if you're going to the conference, you can probably pick one up there. So, all right. So that is that. Hey, good job, ladies. You set through it all. I greatly appreciate it. So, anybody have any questions? Thanks, Kathy. Oh, what was I gonna? Oh, supersedure cells. Tell me, I'll just pick you, Kathy. How many
What?
supersedure cells have you seen in your hive, if any,
Oh my God, probably 100.
at one time? I
Well,
mean,
no, I use in a hive, I can count up to 15, 20 of them at times.
well, I have
15.
never. I've only had one at a time.
No,
Yeah,
I used to,
never.
no, I'll see like 2 or 3 on a frame, then go to another frame, there's another 2 or 3. It's scattered.
Now, those are supersedure, right? You're talking
Right,
about?
they're on top. They're the
Okay.
ones I usually put in my queen castle.
But the queen's still in there.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. How about Shara? How about you?
On my problem hive this year, I think there were 7
Wow. Okay. My bees are just nice to
that I
me.
had to go back in but they were in the middle, but then I also had swarm cells. So maybe my bees were just confused and did their swarm cells in the middle.
You never know. You never know, right? Right?
I was
Right.
trying.
Who else? Let's see. I don't know that Jennifer. How about Tiffany? You've had bees.
Yep. So I have also, like Cheryl, I have this year wasn't bad, but last year I had a problem hive and it did have 6 in it at one time. But I was also like Kathy, they were on front and back of multiple frames. So just kind of one right after the other, right in the middle. And really that is the only problem that I have ever had with a supersedure cell that I can think. I mean, I've had bukus of swarm cells, especially when I first started, no idea what I was doing, winging it.
Sure. And that's what we want to change. We want to get you guys ready, with this class, with these classes. So if people are on here that have been beekeepers, like we were talking to, who were we talking to earlier? It wasn't Willa.
It was
Oh,
me.
it was you, iPad. Yeah, there you go. So how many supersedure cells have you seen in your hives?
I have not seen any, but like I said, we got kind of wiped out. So all of our hives are new this year.
Right.
So I haven't seen any that I'm aware of.
Okay. Well,
I'm new, so I don't really know what I'm looking for.
Well,
either.
mine has always been just one cell, like a top of the close to the middle or and higher. But with Kathy and Shara, they share the love. Yeah. And I always got to relate it to something so I get her name right. And but they said they have seen multiples. Now I think I've only had one emergency case, and they were everywhere. So, and with me, if I don't need the queens, then I'll go in and kill them and leave two so they can go out and get bred, and then the best one wins. But so on my presentation, do you guys have any questions pertaining to that? And then if not, we can just open the floor, and if you have any concerns, Jennifer, you got your hand up. Sorry. What's your question?
That's okay. I was just gonna say that, although I'm a new bee handler, we did the kids with 4-H and stuff. And I do remember one instance where we only had one supersedure cell, but the next week we had like 7 swarm cells.
Oh, okay.
So at the time I kind of just thought it was like, I didn't really understand like the difference with the placement, like how it's different.
Right.
And I just thought I was just seeing an early swarm cell, but I'm wondering now if that was actually a single supersedure cell or if it was in fact.
So what did you do? Did you leave the supersedure or?
We smashed it.
Okay. So then that's when they decided to swarm?
The swarm. Yeah.
So, okay. So your queen was in there, like you said, because they wouldn't swarm without the queen being there.
It seemed queen right because, it seemed like it was going gangbusters. So I was kind of like, okay, guys, because, they were looking at me and I'm like, well, I think we're going to smash it because everything looks like, the book was showing us.
Well, sometimes your hives can be so huge that they can't smell the queen. So then they start making queen cells up above, like she's down in the bottom. So that's why you have to be putting your hives. You can't just buy them and set them out there unless you don't care, about, because some people just want to do them for pollination but you can't do that anymore. You have to mite treat some way. However you tend to do that, that's up to you. But yep.
Yeah, that's why I was asking the question earlier, because I've often wondered, like, if we did end up losing that whole hive because we split it and we lost both sides.
Yeah, and you can, like, when your hives got capped, we have killed the cap queen cells before and waited, gone back in 7 days, and if they keep building them, then we pull the queen and a nuke out of it, and then we, either, well, it depends what we want to do with that hive. If it's huge and we're close to honey season, then we'll just leave 2 queen cells in there and disperse the others or call the others, however, whatever we decide to do. And then that one will turn into a honey maker, produce a honey producer. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things. There's no right or wrong. If you lose your hive, yeah, you did the wrong, but you're going to learn, don't do that again. That's what it's all about. And when you guys get your bees, you need to at least get 2, hopefully nukes. Like I said before, don't go out and let people that teach these classes or whatever, or own a bee store that's a friend of a friend, and sell you with all your new equipment and sell you a package, because they don't like packages, or they don't like your frames, because you're going to have, either, if you're doing foundationless, then you're just going to have wooden, a frame. And then if you do foundation like I do, then there's not going to be anything on there but plastic and some wax. And sometimes you'll put them in and they'll fly right out the front, even if you've kept them in a day or so. And so packages are not the way to go until your 2nd year. Then if you lose your hives and you have, drawn comb, even one drawn comb that you can put in the center of your hive to put that, the queen on and let them start working and feed them, then packages can be fine. But you need to know where those packages come from, because a lot of times they're from pollinators, like big commercial people, and they shake 3 pounds of bees. Just watch it. Go to YouTube and watch it. And that's what really turned me against packages, and this company, and why they put this video up, I have no idea, but I would never buy from them, because they were throwing, like bunches of bees on each other, and it's just, they were just really mean to them. But they put a box on a scale, and they shake 3 pounds of bees in there, and then they take a queen that they've raised or bought from somebody else, and they put it in there and put a can of sugar water in there, and then they ship them to you, or you go pick them up or whatever. But they're now, the only thing nice about that is, if they are full of pesticides, then if you put them on, uh, like maybe one comb and the rest of it's foundation, then a lot of that will come out of them. So, and then you can always pull that one comb or mark it, and because when she lays, then um, she might be laying some disease or something. But it's just trial and error, no matter where you get your bees. But packages are the worst for newbies. I can't preach it enough. So,
I agree.
yep. All right. Any more questions? We need Megan on here, and Joni.
Tara,
They're always full of questions.
you need Terry. I got a question.
Oh, Terry, yeah, yeah,
Question.
yeah, definitely. So,
It
but
looks like a
next,
nice turnout.
do what?
So you get a nice turnout.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, they're dropping like flies already, down to
Yes.
15. But next week is same time, same place, and then it is Sue on bee biology. Sue Olson is doing the presentation next week. Supposed to. So, yep. But I want to thank you guys for coming, and yeah, thank you, Angie. Um, I hope I didn't rattle too much, but I think I got my point across. I think you can know what a queen and a drone and a worker does in the hive, and why each one of them is important. So,
Yeah, I think it was
I
a
have,
good presentation.
I have a
yeah,
question. I have a
sure,
question for you. I'm just learning how to work this Zoom. I've been in and out and trying
sure.
to figure it out. But has anyone ever got a full drawn hive and
Yeah.
started out with that, like instead of getting a nuke? But because I'm looking into getting 8 frames of full drawn
Hmm.
bees with honey already, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, already drawn
Established.
comb
Uh,
or established. Has anyone
yeah.
ever done that? And
Yes. Yeah. It's quite popular, actually.
because I'm doing the 8 frames on the bottom with a deep and then a medium as the super. Would that be?
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
would probably not be your super. It would probably be your brood area.
your brood. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep. Yeah. You can do that. Carrie, she's not on here tonight, but that's the way she keeps her bees. Hers are 10, but it's the same thing.
We're getting old. We just
Yep.
all the videos. My daughter lost 2 hives last year and
Oh,
has the 10 frames, but she said she'll never do the 10 again. They're just too heavy. And
sure.
she was like, Mom and Dad, you guys are getting older. You
Mm-hmm.
probably
Mm-hmm.
will want to go with the 8s. So,
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
but I didn't know if that was, if anybody's ever done that, started out that way, doing
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there
So,
anything specific you would look for as far as like asking questions about the,
absolutely. First, you want it inspected by
okay.
the local bee inspector, and we can tell you who that is. And I wouldn't buy it, and even if you know the beekeeper and he's going to set up an inspection because you can't sell anything without being inspected, and you want to maybe if you're since you're buying an established hive, maybe be there when they're inspecting it, so you know. I don't know if your beekeeper will let you do that. I would let you do that if you bought it from me. So maybe touch base because you're going to spend a lot of money and you definitely want it to make sure that it's all kosher. So
Yeah, I think he mentioned that he gets his inspected, that they come and inspect his bees. So,
yeah, I hope so because it's a law.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
But
so is it good to get a new queen or an already established older queen or?
well, you need to know, like I can tell everybody that buys from me how old that queen is. So you want to know that. And now is your daughter doing bees as well?
Well, she is, but last year, I think they lost both of them due to moisture. They're in a learning curve too. It's like,
Sure, sure.
you just
Well,
they had some bad luck. And so they started over. They got 2 new hives that are doing okay so far. So,
okay. So, well, what I was saying, it's always good to have more than one hive.
right. I'm
So,
getting 2.
oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great. And you can bounce off of each other. Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah, yeah. But I would talk to the person you're gonna buy it from, and just say, hey, I would like to be there during the inspection and see what he says.
Okay.
And then because if he's on the up and up, he'll say, sure, this is when he's coming, be here at this time, and he can start with yours and then you can go home. So
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate
you're
that.
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Who are you? All I see is iPhone.
Donna Bartlett.
Okay, okay, cool. I was raised with a bunch of Bartletts in Randolph County. So
I
all
feel like,
right.
well, the West Virginia Beekeeper, well, is that your business name or is that just the name of the group?
It's the group. I'm West Virginia Wilderness Apiaries is who my business is. I live
I
in
felt
Dolly Sods area.
I feel like my daughter got some bees off a Mountaineer bee something or another. I don't know. I don't know what the name of it is,
Mountaineer
but
Beekeepers. They probably
maybe.
ordered.
Yeah, I feel
Did she
like
get
they ordered.
packages?
Yeah, I feel like no, I think they got nukes
Mm,
when they got there. So
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
don't know.
sure.
But they're friends of mine, but they're like 3 some hours away from me. So
Right.
yeah, I don't know what their club does. Yeah, but
Okay.
that's a good club to join too. Mountaineer Beekeepers. They're on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll just make sure that I ask him about the inspection. He built my boxes for me and we're going to
Yeah.
pick them up Saturday. So
Oh,
we'll do
nice.
some talking Saturday.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
and one
Yeah,
more question I have, because
sure.
he lives kind of close to us and he has a lot of hives. Is there
Mhm.
any chance that my bees will go back to,
No, no. Well, do you live at least a mile away?
yeah, at least a mile?
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine,
Okay.
and you can always because you're gonna close them up when you move them,
Right.
and do it on a not real hot day. And if it's gonna be hot that day, then, do it early in the morning or late at night, and, um, and then just leave them.
He mentioned March, like Marchish, and he's going to do it at night. He's going to
Well,
close them up
okay,
and bring them at night.
okay. March, where do you live?
We live in Fairmont.
Okay. You need to look at the temperatures in March because when you move a hive, you will break their cluster. And like where I live, I still get snow in April.
Right.
So you don't want, just you're buying them. It's your money. You
Oh
tell
yeah,
him what you
I'm in
want.
no hurry. I want to make sure they
Yeah.
survive and do
Yep.
good. That's all I care about.
Yeah. So look at the calendar and if when he moves them for you or you all, whatever,
Right.
then if it's gonna be nice, like, no lower than 45 at night, then you're probably fine.
Okay.
But if it's gonna snow or whatever, or it's gonna, dip below 45, then just say no can do. So
Right. Well,
Mm.
he told me that it's his goal to make sure that we succeed, so I feel
good.
like he's going to be a good help. So,
Good. And
but I
then
appreciate it.
you can always put swarm boxes around your farm too, because if he's that close, then you might catch some of his bees when they swarm, and then that'll
Yeah.
give you free bees. Yeah.
Would,
There you go.
would his name happen to be Charlie?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. And we're here. I gave
You'd
my
be
phone
close to
number.
Regina,
Yeah.
because Regina's from Fairmont.
Are you in Fairmont?
Yeah, I'm on Hopewell Road. You know where that
We're
is?
on. Yeah, we're on the outskirts of Monongah, like Millfall area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're pretty close. That's pretty close to us.
Yeah, that is pretty close. But
I feel like someone give me your name. Maybe it wasn't you. Do you know Melissa Nicoletti?
I don't know. I don't think so.